Shalom. This week's Torah portion is Parashat Pinchas, beginning in verse 10 of chapter 25 in the book of Numbers. The portion opens as a direct continuation of the concluding verses of last week's portion of Balak, chapter 25, verses 1 through 9. The teaching of our sages illuminates the backstory. When the wicked heathen prophet Bilam saw that, despite his best intentions and efforts to deliver terrible curses upon Israel, he was prevented by God from doing so, and instead, through him, God channeled his own beautiful blessings onto his children of Israel. When Bilam saw all this, he gave King Balak of Moab one more piece of advice. He should attempt to trip up Israel by launching a program designed to strike at Israel's spiritual core, by enticing the men of Israel into immorality with the Moabite women, and with the goal of this leading ultimately to idol worship. The plan called for the Moabite women to seduce the men and lure them to worship the horrific Baal Peor, and then their God will really get angry after all, and all the flaring wrath of Hashem that had been avoided when Bilam failed to curse the people during God's moment of anger will come to pass as a result of this. He was well aware that the God of Israel despises all forms of sexual immorality, and that sexual sin and idolatry are two aspects of the same spiritual decay, drawing their destructive power from the same root. So Bilam concluded that leading Israel down that path could be the one sure way to guarantee their destruction. It looked like the plan was beginning to succeed, as many of the Israelite men were seduced, and a plague began to wreak destruction on the people. And there, at the end of Parashat Balak, we learned that in the midst of it all, a horrific incident occurred. One of the tribal leaders of Israel, first named in our parsha as Zimri, the son of Salu, a prince of the tribe of Shimon, in an act of unspeakable brazenness, he took a Midianite woman and committed a sexual act with her before the very eyes of Moshe, the elders, and the entire assembly. Only Pinchas, the grandson of Aaron, knew what was required. He stood up from amid the assembly, we read, and took a spear in his hand and pierced them both, and only then was the plague halted from upon the children of Israel. Our portion opens with God's unequivocal declaration concerning this bold and unprecedented action. We read, Pinchas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron the Kohen, turned back my wrath from upon the children of Israel, when he zealously avenged my vengeance among them. So I did not consume the children of Israel in my vengeance. Therefore say, behold, I give him my covenant of peace, and it shall be for him and his offspring after him a covenant of eternal priesthood, because he took vengeance for his God, and he atoned for the children of Israel. Pinchas felt the zeal of avenging God's honor. It wasn't about him. He had no personal agenda, and he was ready to lay down his life to safeguard the sanctity of his people. This type of behavior, which was forgotten by the previous generation, is a manifestation of the generation of the land. And as we've learned, we've now reached a turning point in the book of Numbers. The generation of the desert has passed, and now the new generation prepares to enter the land. This new generation will require a new type of leadership, and Pinchas, this man of action, rises to the calling, understanding that his is the generation of action, whose rectification and duty will be dependent on action. Now begins the era of Eretz Yisrael, which will not be about being led by heaven, about the Shekhinah speaking for us as it did with Moshe, but rather about man making the first move, man taking the initiative. So open up your heart. One of the unique aspects of this portion of Pinchas is that it also features the offerings that are to be brought in the Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple. There's the daily offering called the Korban Tamid, and the Musaf, the additional offerings which are brought on specific days. So it's initially surprising to us that these offerings are delineated here, rather than in the book of Leviticus, where most of the instructions for the divine service in the temple are to be found. So open up your heart in the deepest way, because there is indeed a deep connection between the Korban Tamid and the Korban Musaf and the Torah portion of Pinchas, which sheds light on the spiritual significance of these offerings and their connection to the lessons that we learn from Pinchas. So first of all, what is the difference on a spiritual level between the Korban Tamid offering and that of the Korban Musaf? So the word Tamid means continuous, always. The Tamid is the daily offering which is brought twice a day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon, every day of the year in the Holy Temple. All of Israel participated in and was represented by the bringing of this Tamid offering since it was purchased with the funds provided by all of Israel from the yearly half-shekel contribution of every individual. And like its name, the Tamid offering is all about our desire to maintain a continuous, constant relationship with the divine. So the Tamid is the epitome of consistency and regularity in our spiritual lives, teaching us that our connection with the divine should not be limited to specific moments or occasions, but rather it should be a constant and ongoing commitment. And because it's constant, the Tamid is the most important of the temple offerings, and it represents the eternal connection between the nation of Israel and Hashem, and the continuous flow of divine energy and sustenance that God makes available. But now open up your heart deeper still. What is a day? A day is something tangible. It's more than just a measurement or a unit of time or a spin of the globe. Every day is different, and we never know what it will bring. Each day with its own potential, its own challenges and tests and moments of revelation or concealment. I'm sure that the day in which Pinchas stemmed the tide of immorality and saved his people from death and destruction, the day on which he rose up with zeal and avenged his God, I'm sure that that day started like any other. Yet it changed the course of Israel's history and earned Pinchas a place of unique stature in this world as well as in the next world. A day, a new day. Each day is its own world. The morning Tamid offering, open up your heart, corresponds to the beginning of the day, symbolizing our dedication to starting each day with a renewed sense of purpose and connection to the divine. The morning Tamid reminds us to set our intentions and align our actions with the divine will. The afternoon offering, brought towards evening, represents the culmination of the day, reminding us to reflect on our actions and seek forgiveness for and work towards correcting any shortcomings that were manifest in this past day. It encourages us to take responsibility for our actions and to constantly strive for self-improvement. And as we have emphasized throughout all of our studies in the book of Vayikra, Leviticus, the Holy Temple offerings are all about man's perpetual quest to refine and hone his own humanity, to separate his godly soul from his based animal nature, so that the divine image in which he was created will shine forth with greater light. So the Holy Baal Shem Tov teaches that the Korban Tamid, taking place twice daily in the Holy Temple on behalf of the entire congregation of Israel, is a powerful spiritual device that helps elevate and refine our own inner being. It's an expression of our Tamid, of our constant need for spiritual growth and connection with the divine. The zealous action of Pinchas put an end to the wave of immorality that Bilam's wickedness initiated, which began to insidiously rise up among the Israelites. His actions demonstrated his unwavering commitment to upholding the sanctity of the divine soul and the safeguarding of the Jewish people's eternal connection to their Father in heaven. So Pinchas represents the attribute of zeal and the willingness to take action for the sake of holiness. Now, just as Pinchas exemplifies this commitment and dedication to upholding sanctity, the Korban Tamid daily offering represents the consistent and unwavering commitment to maintaining a connection with the divine, which takes daily, consistent spiritual dedication to sustain. But open up your heart deeper than ever, because this is not only about Israel. It's about elevating the whole world. The Holy Maharal explains that through Israel's service of bringing the Tamid offering, Hashem's unity is expressed for all mankind, and the offering serves to connect the entire world to the source of life. This is the secret of the temple offerings. They bring a rectification for all the world. Every dimension of this world throbs with ceaseless motion, from the inception of life to its inevitable demise, the cyclical journey encompassing every strand of existence. The entire tapestry of life ebbs and flows and pulsates with unceasing dynamism, the eternal cycle of birth from the genesis of being to its ultimate dissolution through vitality, demise, and rejuvenation. Every day, every layer of existence resonates with a symphony of ceaseless movement. The whole globe teems in an unbroken continuum as this inexorable cycle unfolds without pause, intermingling in a grand cosmic ballet orchestrated by the Creator. So this unyielding march of life, which is unfolding through the relentless progression of birth and growth and ultimately the inexorable embrace of death, is not confined to the realm of humankind alone. This whole relentless cycle reverberates across the vast expanse of animal and plant kingdoms. Myriads of creatures die daily all over the world. Millions of plants succumb to decay, withering, and wilting. Does this process have a purpose? Is there a grand scheme in this universal cycle of life and death? So open up your heart. The Maharal continues, and he explains that this is one of the secrets of the daily temple service of the Korban Tamid. At its spiritual root, the entire world is one. It's a unit, and the whole world is bound up in a higher unity. And as a unit, it strives towards elevation and perfection. That is closeness to God, the whole world, to its eternal source. Part of this elevation is accomplished through growth and development, but another part is achieved through death. The two factors are equal components in the world's life cycle. All ending is a new beginning. All the while that any aspect of creation is a part of this physical world, perfection is impossible to achieve. The spirit can only ascend so high while contained in this physical world. But upon the physical component reaching its end, the spirit returns to its origin. The Holy Temple, the headquarters of fixing the world, is the holiest place in the world. The spot chosen by God to assist man in his sacred assignment of divine service, meaning his task of elevating this physical world to its spiritual fulfillment. This is why the Kohanim would bring the Tamid offering in the temple once in the morning and once in the afternoon. On the deepest level, the daily offering was representative of all physical life that had ceased to exist in this world on that day. In the Maharal's words, the bringing of the Korban Tamid signifies the return, that is the elevation of that life force to its origin. And in this sense, it's the spiritual ascent of that life force that is described as a pleasing fragrance to God. But because each day is an entity and no 2 days are alike, the Korban Musaf, additional offering, on the other hand, represents the opportunity for increased connection and revelation on specific days that are inherently imbued with an extra level of holiness. The Korban Musaf is a congregational offering brought in the Holy Temple on special days, on Shabbat, and the 3 pilgrimage festivals, and on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and every Rosh Chodesh, on the beginning of every new month, on the new moon. The word Musaf means additional, meaning in addition to, above and beyond the daily Tamid offering. So the Musaf offering signifies a time of heightened spiritual energy and the potential for transformation. Again, a clear connection with the character of Pinchas. Just as Pinchas' zealousness and his act of stopping the immoral behavior was about going beyond, about rising up when no one else was capable of action, and going the distance for the sake of God's honor, so too, the Musaf additional offering is beyond the Tamid. It represents the ability to tap into this heightened spiritual energy and bring about positive change. The Musaf additional offering is brought on days of extra sanctity, days brimming with a unique spiritual energy that call out holiness and challenge us to rise to that something special, that shining thing within us, the side of our individual initiative, something above, something extra. Any day upon which a Musaf offering is brought in the temple is a day that radiates an additional level of holiness. Just as Pinchas demonstrated and displayed that level and culled it forth from some deep inner dimension, reminding us that we all have access to a deeper level where our motivation is pure, where our intentions are for the sake of heaven. And thus the additional offering of the Korban Musaf on these special days serves as a catalyst for deeper connection and a more profound experience of the divine. Again, each day has its own spiritual theme and purpose, and the Korban Musaf is a way to channel and connect with the specific energy of that day. And on the deepest level, the Korban Musaf is associated with the concept of ratzon, which means will or desire. On these designated days of extra holiness, there is broadcast to us a unique divine will, a desire expressed by God, as it were, for increased connection with man. So the Korban Musaf is about aligning ourselves with this divine will and allowing us to tap into the special spiritual energy that is available during these times, and it's giving us the opportunity to deepen our connection with the divine by enabling us to tap into the potential for growth and transformation and revelation. And thus, the placement of the Tamid and Musaf offerings in our Torah portion of Pinchas complements perfectly the life lessons that we learn from Pinchas, consistency in our spiritual life, as well as the times of special enlightenment, the balance of maintaining a consistent and unwavering commitment to holiness, as well as the potential for absolute transformation and increased connection with the divine. In divine synchronicity, during this week of Parashat Pinchas, we observe the fast of the 17th day of Tammuz, which begins Israel's annual 3-week period of mourning for the destruction of the Holy Temple, which is marked by prayer and special observances and accentuated principled activism for its rebuilding. Our sages teach that this fast day commemorates numerous tragic events that occurred on this day throughout history. One of them being, it was the day upon which the daily Tamid offering was ceased during the period of the Babylonian siege of Jerusalem. And as the Midrash observes, had the nations of the world only known what the temple does for them, they would not only have not destroyed it, they would have surrounded it with an armed fortress to protect it. May we merit to see and participate in the fulfillment of the prophecies that promise a universal spiritual renewal centered on the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, when all mankind will be united as one in the service and recognition of the Creator. Thank you for watching this week's Jerusalem Lights Torah portion. We appreciate your generous support, which enables our mission of sharing Torah for everyone. If you'd like to join in a new weekly Zoom class in the book of Job that will be starting soon, you are invited to email directly at rabbi@rabbiRichman.com. Shabbat Shalom.